GreenCosplay again. In this video I would like to talk about thrift stores and cosplaying. So I would like to show you guys what I have found from secondhand for cosplay and also other projects like historical reenacting, what I also do, and maybe give some advice and tips for thrifting. I am not any professional when it comes to thrifting, I just do it quite a lot in my free time. I just thought it would be an interesting video to make, to share my experiences about thrift stores. So what kind of stuff do thrift stores really sell? Basically, the first thing that comes to mind is just everything. From kids' toys to furniture, everything and anything people no longer want or need. Some thrift stores also want to specialize in one thing, like clothing or vintage clothing, furniture, books, or whatever, like fabrics. And what is really good to remember and what I really like about thrift stores is that they are all unique and different. There's no the same store anywhere, so basically even if one store belongs to a bigger chain, they basically sell the same items, or same items, they want to sell clothes for example, and they have different kind of standards of what kind of clothes they want to have and what quality. It basically all depends on what kind of people have brought what kind of different kind of items to certain store. So basically there might be a lot of differences between the same chain thrift store in the same city, for example. What I have also noticed about secondhand stores is that between the different stores there's also a lot of difference between bigger cities and also smaller towns. If you're traveling in your own country or even abroad, just go to different secondhand stores because they probably have very different things to sell than in your own hometown or home city that you live in. So besides the normal everyday thrift stores, usually conventions also have thrift stores. And what I really don't like about these is that at least in Finland, they are really packed of people. So many people just want to get in and you usually have to queue to even get in, and it might take from half an hour to 2 hours, I don't know. I usually don't queue there and I usually wait for the last day, or if it's a 2-day convention, the second day is usually the most calm. There's not that many people trying to go over there, but the first days are no-go unless you're really patient. But what is a good thing about these thrift stores in conventions is that there's usually really good stuff there and you can actually see and feel how the product is before buying it. You can inspect it, the way is it okay and everything like that. When comparing to the online thrift stores, for example in Facebook, I belong to a couple of different kind of secondhand stores in Facebook. For example, I'm in a group that sells only cosplay stuff, basically wigs and cosplays, fabrics, street fashion, and then to one group that only specializes in figurines, one that specializes only on manga and anime. So there are a lot of different kind of thrift stores, for example in Facebook. I don't know about other thrift stores online. If you know, please tell me in the comments, I would be really interested in that. But the thing is that if you usually buy things online, you have reviews about the seller and also comments about the product. In Facebook groups you don't have that. So you kind of have to just trust about how the seller is having the pictures and everything. Is it actually in the pictures? So basically my tip is to, if you are in these kind of groups, just ask many photos, more photos if they have 1 or 2 photos, even if they're good. Try to ask more information about the product by the pictures, even a video. If it's an electronic thing, you might want to ask for a video, can you show me that it actually works? And also just ask more questions about the thing and try to make it as clear as possible, how do you do the payment and shipping. So moving on to the things that I have found from thrift stores for cosplay and other things, I thought it would be nice to have like some kind of categories. So let's start with the category 1, and that is clothes. And let's just start with the 11th Doctor. I wore him for the first time in Worldcon 75 back in 2017, and when I wore him for the first time, he was basically completely thrifted. Almost. There were just like few things that I had borrowed from my friends and also some little things that I had bought new. But basically his shoes, pants, shirt and his jacket and even his wig actually were all thrifted. I don't actually remember how much did all the items cost, but I remember that the wig was maybe 2 to 4 euros. Really cheap. Well, it was pretty crap quality, but it was okay for a couple of times wearing it. And then the jacket was 8 euros. I don't know why I'm showing you this, but 8 euros. And I did a really quick research and I found out that tweed jackets like this cost around 25 euros up. So I guess it's pretty cheap. One or actually two pieces of clothing that I have found from secondhand store for cosplay is these 2 button-up shirts. 2 of them. They're really nice quality. I don't remember how much did they cost, but these are really good for cosplay, just like in general. It just goes with so many characters, and also it's really good to have at least one white button-up shirt for your own closet, like for your normal life, everyday life, because it's just so many occasions you can wear it. I have used these 2 shirts, for example, for my Sebastian cosplay, Hogwarts student uniform, Darkiplier and also Mary, so those are just named for few. These are really good basic clothes to have. I don't know what that was. And speaking of Mary, her jacket is actually only 5 euros from thrift store, and her petticoat was around 4 euros or something, so cheap cosplay. Green tea from Assassin's Creed Unity was pretty pricey cosplay for me because most of the fabrics and items I had to buy for this cosplay were a bit pricey. But the cheapest part of the cosplay was these 2 belts. I don't know if you can see them. I might have a close-up here. Let's just put a close-up here. So these belts were actually originally 4 shorter belts, or maybe 3, I don't remember anymore. But the thing is that they only cost me around 40 cents each, so that was a really good find for me, and not just make belts from scratch or buy expensive belts just for this, so this was a really good find. I have found a couple of shoes for cosplay and just in general, but for example these white boots I found for Nora from Ruby from Convention thrift store, and they cost me around 10 euros and they're pretty good shape. There's few stains here, but I'm just gonna paint them over, and they were just my size, which is kind of not that common. Especially when it comes to thrift stores, it's a bit difficult to find. Well, I think it's difficult to find for my size. And yeah, I only have to change the shoelaces and maybe make the rest of the cosplay. But hey, I have the boots already, so... I usually like to order wigs for cosplay, but some of the wigs that I have for cosplay are also thrifted. For example, Phil's and Donatello's, Doctors that I just mentioned before, and Raistlin's. This is actually the 2nd wig that I got for Raistlin, and it's pretty good quality still, even it's used a bit. And then also the ginger wig that you might have seen in my previous videos. So those wigs are all thrifted from Facebook groups or from conventions. I have found so many clothes from thrift stores for cosplaying and just in general for my normal day closet that the list just goes on. I'm not just gonna keep in this category for no longer because there's a lot of stuff there. So let's just move on to the next category, and that is fabrics. Most of the secondhand stores that I have been to actually sell fabrics, but they are sometimes a bit difficult to find for some reason. They are usually placed in the very back or something, so you might actually have to like look for the fabrics that they sell. Usually what these stores have, like the normal ones, are fabrics and tablecloth. And I usually go check these out anyway, because you can use these kind of fabrics for multiple things and you might actually find some good treasures. Like I found these curtains, there's 2 of them. These cost me €4 and there's a lot of fabric. I haven't measured it, but there's like meters of fabric, and I think I can get at least 2 long dresses from these. And I'm actually planning on making at least 1 empire dress out of these. And if you don't know what empire dress is, it's a dress type from the early 1800s that you can see, for example, in Jane Austen historical drama, TV series and movies. And I'm really excited about it. I don't know why I'm telling this, but for example, you can use curtains for that. So what is good about these kind of basic curtains, I mean this is really thin fabric. If you find like a basic cotton fabric from thrift store, it doesn't cost that much and you can use it for multiple things. For example, I have found out that it's really good to have at least some kind of white fabric for basically anything. But also, like if you want to try out a pattern for your cosplay, you don't want to make a cosplay right away, you're not sure if the pattern is gonna work for that cosplay, then just go for a thrift store, buy a really cheap cotton fabric for example, and just try the pattern out. That's a really cheap and economic way to try out patterns. There are also secondhand stores that specialize in fabrics and sewing. For example, here in Tampere, where I live, we have Nextili, and that's basically a thrift store for sewing. Most of the content they sell is fabrics. And they also have like buttons and yarn and zippers, what else, like patterns, basically anything for crafting or sewing. And they also, if you're a vintage person, there's this like little corner where they have vintage clothing, bags, shoes, gloves, and they have really cheap prices. So if you're in Tampere or you're visiting Tampere, go check that out. I will put the link in the description, and I will also put links to other places where I go thrifting. So moving on to the 3rd category and the final category, and that is all the stuff that thrift stores sell. As I said in the beginning of the video, there's just some random stuff there, and just be open-minded because you don't know what you're gonna find. And when I say everything, that's basically everything and anything that would go for props, for example. When I go to thrifting, and if I'm, for example, having a new character or I'm gonna have a photo shoot, and I just want to find something to shoot with, like a prop, what would that character want to have in their hands or do? And what I do is just go to a secondhand store and think about what would this character pick up? What would be interesting to that character? And it doesn't have to be canon. I have found some canon stuff like official merch for cosplay props. For example, this Kuroshichui clock that Sebastian has. So also you can be really creative about this, like what would this character like to have? It doesn't have to be necessarily something that the character is known of. It just can be something, whatever the character might like. For example, you might be really surprised how many characters would like to have this kind of decent looking teacup. It goes for multiple characters. For example, I could think about this for Sebastian, Mary, and Hogwarts student, and those are only the first ones that comes to my mind. Doctor, why not? He's British. He likes tea, obviously. The stereotypes. I don't know. This is a really basic thing to have for me, at least, because I don't know, I just maybe cosplay those kind of characters that might go well with this kind of prop, but this is like really basic things. And the other really good prop I have found is this book, and it looks a bit older, and it doesn't have to look older, but I just like the aesthetic. It's slightly broken, but this is a good thing to have for multiple characters just to hold on. Or the teacup and the book are my good tips for having maybe in your closet. I have also found somewhat canon things for cosplays. For example, these two trays I found for Sebastian. I think I bought this one first and it still has the tag on. It was €3, I guess. And I forgot I had bought this, so I bought a new one, which is a bigger one. And this cost me only €1. You can see the tag still there. But it's kind of canon, so you can be really creative when it comes to thrift stores, like picking up props but also clothes if you want to make, for example, a lighter version or different version of a character. You can just go to the store and think, what would this character like, and pick up from the store. And that's a good tip, I guess, for going for thrifting for cosplay, especially if you're not really sure what you want to buy, or you just want to have some kind of inspiration for a character. So yeah. So what is a good thing to remember when thrifting clothes or fabrics or whatever you want to buy is that these things are usually used at some point. I have found also, like, for example, pieces of clothing that they still have the original tags on, so I know that they probably haven't been used. But the thing is, most of the stuff is used, and I just want to inspect everything before buying. So just like look at the seams, that there's no ripping or anything, there are no stains, anything weird going on, or that it's broken or something. And I actually do this even though I know that the product that I'm buying is new. If I go for a shopping in a mall, I inspect the item anyway. I just try to make sure that everything is on place and everything is okay. Maybe it's just me, but I want to stress this because of, you know, thrift store clothing, for example. It's been used at some point, usually. So go through the item you're about to buy to see that there's nothing off. I just think it's good to remember that when buying thrifted things. So I believe that they have good quality stuff and it's not broken or something, but just to make sure. And the second thing that is good to remember when buying secondhand store stuff is that some fabrics and some clothing, and especially furs like this guy, they might have some free travelers, and this has never happened to me. I don't know how common it is, but this has happened to my friend and she told me it's not fun at all. So to make sure that you don't get any bugs or something is to wash the fabric. Let's just pretend you're buying a fabric. You wash it, and if you can't wash it, then you can freeze it. I did a really quick research and I found out that most of the bugs that usually come from secondhand stores die in a freezer that is about -20 degrees Celsius in a week. So if you want to make sure, freeze it for a week, and if you want to, like, whatever, you can have it like 2 weeks, 3 weeks if you really want to make sure that the bugs die, if there even are any. And what is really good thing to remember when freezing, for example, a fabric is to not roll it, because if you roll it really tight, it might not freeze in the center. So what is good to remember is to fold it as flat as possible. Besides all those kind of like negative things, what is good about thrifting for cosplay and just in general, or like historical reenacting or LARPing or whatever, is that the prices are really cheap, sometimes even ridiculous when it comes to like comparing the original prices that you might imagine or even know. Sometimes I have found like jumpers that I know what they cost when they were new because I saw them in the stores, and then like they were like Christmas jumpers or something. I was like, oh, these are pretty expensive, and after Christmas there were like a ton of these because maybe people got them for Christmas present and they didn't like it. They were pretty ugly, but I like them. And as I said before, I get really inspired when it comes to cosplay, or I am actually starting LARPing right now. So if you want to build a character, you have like the basics. You have the cosplay character, or you're making a new character. It's like you go for the store, you have some kind of idea about the character, just what would that character pick out? And then just find maybe a piece of clothing, a shirt or something, and start to build up the character from that. So there are so different things in thrift stores when comparing to, for example, trying to find new clothes from a mall or something. So I get really inspired and curious about other things when it comes to thrift stores. And I think it's also a good thing to remember and to say in here in the end that buying used stuff is more environmental friendly than buying new ones. Let's save the planet! So that was all I wanted to talk about thrifting and cosplaying. I hope this video was helpful for you and also maybe inspire you to go thrifting for cosplay. Yeah, stay curious and go thrifting, I guess. That's what I hope this video maybe gave you inspiration. Thank you for watching my video. My name is GreenCosplay. You can find me in Instagram, Facebook and YouTube. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe to my channel if you're interested in my videos. Bye guys, till next time, take care. So let's save the planet, okay? We can do this. We can buy used stuff and everything, yeah. This is environmental, global, whatever, thrift dance. I don't know what I'm doing. Oops. I don't know. Where am I? Who am I? Why am I? And the other thing that I'm gonna get out from the camera. Are you still recording? Yes, you are. Okay. What I have also noticed, wait. Thrift stores sell some weird shit. Sorry, YouTube doesn't like if I curse. I think that's a curse. Oops. I don't know how this works. Okay, let's just start over. Don't fall. But this is just go to different kind of stores, even if they belong to the same chain. Why do you do this to me? Shh. Why do you have to be right there? Stop it. I don't know if you can hear it, but there's some noise coming out. Can you stop? Okay, I'm just gonna... yeah, they're not gonna leave.